then, let's have a little cheeky chat about side Benrahma, shall we? Where do we start? There's lots to say. Okay, I went to the game, the pre-season friendly at Reading. I watched the warm-up really, really closely. Benrahma was the best player in the warm-up. Not by a little bit, by a country mile. Just full of technique. What can you read from the warm-up? Well, nothing, really. But we're just interested to see. He felt as if he was liberated. He looked free. I mentioned it. If you go and watch back the... well, don't go and listen to my friendly review from Reading game. But you just have to trust me. I said he looked very, very impressive in the warm-up. And I said in that, it's a shame he doesn't play that expressively during the games. I've said since we signed him, I don't doubt for a moment that Benrahma is the best player and most technical player in training. Wanted to see more of that on the pitch. And before I go on to say how well I think Benrahma is playing now and how much promise he has, that's what this is, a positive video. Let me just deal with a couple of things that I felt he wasn't doing before. I felt often Benrahma would have the ball maybe about 5 yards outside the box. I just said, get in the box. Just get in the box. Whatever you're going to do, just get in the box and do it. Because you're likely to win a penalty. He's got such quick feet. I just feel we're better off. I do feel this season, if Benrahma plays the majority of games and he plays as he has done in the last couple of games, he's going to win us some penalties. That would be my prediction for that. But previously, I've watched him. If you just get in the box, get in the box. Thought he was too predictable. What Benrahma would do in games is we would pass in the ball, he'd slow the game down. Often there would be too many exchanges of the ball with him and Cresswell. Back to Cresswell, and there'd be Blanzini would drop over, Rice drop over. There'd be a few triangles, and the momentum would be dead. I also think that what he also used to do was his sort of number one trick actually wasn't a trick at all. He'd drop his shoulder, he'd cut inside past the next man, and what he would try and do is he would try and shoot with his right foot and curl it into the top right corner as you look at the goal. Curl it to the goalkeeper's left. Rarely worked. Rarely worked. And it was very, very predictable. There was no confusion in the defender's minds and the whole defence of what Benrahma was going to do. If you were an opposition manager and you were going to be compiling a dossier on Benrahma and you were going to brief your team before the game, that's what Benrahma was going to do. A couple of things I've really liked, and he's addressed both of those from what I've seen this season. The defender doesn't know what he's going to do. Sometimes he'll drop his shoulder and go left. Sometimes he'll drop his shoulder and cut inside. He's also become a lot more direct, and he seems to be getting in the box. So all those things that I said, they're really good, and it appears to have addressed those things that he was doing all the time. The other thing that I've been critical of him for was we're a counter-attacking team. It's not just Benrahma, by the way. I think we've got a lot of players that hinder our counter-attack. Fabianski would be one. I understood that as soon as I saw Naif Aguerd play, I thought, that's it. He suits the style that David Moyes wants to play. I did a little video earlier on, which hopefully you watched, which was about Emerson. I made the point about Emerson, not the best player in the world, but when you look at the way he plays the ball down the line and dinks it over the top for a fast winger, probably suits the way David Moyes wants to play. David Moyes has clearly seen something in Emerson, and I think it's that. Can this guy help me in the style and the strategy and the tactics of my team? I think he probably can. But what happened is when we try and counter-attack, I'd like us to sort of attack in almost 3 or 4 passes, and then be at the defence. Because the advantage of doing that is that the defence is not set. The opposition defence is not set. I think Benrahma was guilty of slowing the game down. And he would slow the game down. He would stop sprinting. He'd almost take the ball to a walking pace. Then he would try and do his trick. By that point, the defence is set. And because of that, I didn't even think he resembled a left winger. Well, I'll tell you what, that's changed now. The great irony is taken us to sign a left winger for Benrahma to look like a left winger. And this is where it comes to the competition for places, because I just think it's so good. It's so good that we've signed Cornet, and now Benrahma is being direct and he's doing all those things. And actually, I'd be really interested because, some of you might not even watch this video before we play Brighton, but if Benrahma can play like he's played, and he must start against Brighton because he's been brilliant. If he can play like he's played against Nottingham Forest and play like he played against Viborg, if he can put in a third consecutive really good game, I think it'd do not just wonders for his confidence, but for the team's confidence. And I think it's really important that the opposition team and the opposition manager have something to worry about. I want them to look at West Ham's team sheet and think, oh, we've got to worry about him. You didn't ever look at a team sheet before and think, oh, that Benrahma, we've got to be careful, let's make special provision for him. You didn't need to. He was predictable, which is a crazy thing when you look at how unpredictable Said Benrahma can be. I'll take you back to what I said at the start. You look at him in training, or you look at him in the warm-up. He's got all the tricks, he's got all the flicks, he's got everything. He's got enough tricks to keep the defender guessing. But now what he's doing is when he's getting the ball, he's not slowing it up, he's running straight away. And he's running straight away towards the goal. Well, David Moyes will be loving that. He really will. But what I also think is great, if he's going to be playing like a left winger and he's going to be fighting it out with Cornet, and obviously Cornet played really well against Viborg as well, then I feel the knock-on effect of all this is going to be to the liberation of Fornals. Because Fornals is no left winger at all. And if David Moyes has got this choice and he's thinking, whilst he's there thinking, oh, shall I play Cornet or shall I play Benrahma on the left? One thing he's not doing at that point is he's not thinking that Fornals is going to play there. Basically, Fornals ain't going to be there to cover for Aaron Cresswell anymore. And it's another reason to sign Emerson. I don't know if you noticed, I feel many times that Cresswell needs to be covered for reasons that we saw at the end of last season. Don't want to knock Cresswell, been a great servant for West Ham. But you certainly got the impression against Viborg. I know it's only Viborg, and I know there's a player playing out of position in Soufal, but it's almost Soufal was saying, oh, don't worry about it, you don't need to come and protect me, you go. You go and do your attacking stuff. I don't worry, I can tackle the winger and do all that. And I do wonder if that's a massive part of it, and that will really help Benrahma as well as Cornet. But the knock-on effect that it will have for Fornals, I think, is great, because it allows Fornals to be a central player, to be a central midfielder. And I think he really has a lot of qualities to do that. He makes the fast pass. Remember I just said about attacking in very few moves, attacking in 3 or 4 passes? That's Fornals. He'll always look for the ball over the top, the quick ball down the channels. And also he's got the work rate. He's got the engine of a central midfielder. And I think we may well see him, start to see his best form. And if you do see that, you've got to say fair play to Fornals for almost sacrificing the last 2 years of his career playing out of position. I say sacrifice it. These footballers are very, very well paid. It's not much of a sacrifice, but never a moment's complaint with him. Got a really, really great attitude, and I think we may be about to see the best of him. And I do wonder if that will play into Moyes' thinking with regard to him buying with whoever he buys. I do think Moyes will buy another attacking midfielder or a central midfielder, but Fornals has made it, given him a different option, which helps with the squad depth, of course, because that's what David Moyes wants. He wants a couple of players that can play in every position, then a couple of floaters like Ben Johnson who can play in numerous positions. And Moyes will feel he's got the strength now, hopefully at centre back. If he brings Emerson in, he'll probably have the strength at full back. So he's got, he feels he's got 2 right backs, he's got 2 left backs, plus he's got a couple of players in Johnson and the new fella in PSG who can cover those positions. But what moving Fornals from the left to the middle does, it creates extra competition for places in central midfield, and that's where I think it's the most worrying situation, certainly looking at it as far as I can see, for numerous reasons, which is why I think we'll still bring another player in. But I think the whole competition for places is really good. I mean, I mentioned it in the review about how Benrahma and Antonio came on. It's almost like they came on as a pair, and it was, Cornet and Scamacca went off, and actually Cornet didn't. Cornet moved to the other side of the pitch, but actually they came on and took their places, and Benrahma created it, and just Antonio looked like a poacher. As the ball was coming across, he took 2 steps back, made a bit of space for himself, and that can only be good. When Scamacca and Antonio are watching each other in practice, in training, they're going to get competitive. That's just what sports people are like. And I think that's great. And clearly, it's not about a rocket up the arse, it's quite normal. In fact, West Ham have been hindered because we've not had that competition for places and that competitive streak in training. And there's no doubt about it. Every time Cornet raises his game, Benrahma's going to be thinking, well, hold on, I'm going to raise my game here. And when you're as skillful, as both those 2 players, they're both going to be looking at it and thinking, well, I can do that. And they both come away with it. It was great, really, wasn't it, to see? They both got an assist against Viborg, but they were both very different. One of them was the cross, a really nice cross. He was penned in, but still managed to dig it out. Really nice cross there. And then, of course, the other one, which was the dribble to the byline, the touchline. I want to see much more of that. If Benrahma keeps on doing that, it's like I said about the penalties, he's going to get taken down. He's going to get taken out. And I do think that's really important. But it wasn't just a dribble. It wasn't just he got there. Because as I mentioned in the... mentioned it in a couple of videos. He put Joe Orrell on his arse against Nottingham Forest. It's actually driving to the byline, but then getting your head up. He did all that beautiful stuff. It's pointless doing a trick. Why do you do a trick? You do a trick to beat a man. Why do you want to beat a man? Well, you want to beat a man because you want to put yourself in an advantageous position. You want to help your team out, a position to either create a goal or score a goal. So it's all very well doing the trick and doing your stuff. What you're going to do, well, I'll tell you what, when Benrahma got there, he lifted up his head, he looked for Antonio, he just passed it to Antonio. Antonio scored a goal. In many respects, a simple goal, but a very much appreciated goal, actually. A beautiful goal. Let's put it that way. So, look, well done, Benrahma. I mean, it's not even... I think he started this season. There was rumours that West Ham might sell him. We can't. And nor should we. Nor should we. And all I would say is with Benrahma, maybe, you know, it's take a leaf out of, you know, Fornals' book, maybe. Maybe it doesn't go for you at the start like it didn't necessarily. And maybe just Cornet coming in is just good for everyone. Good for Fornals, good for Benrahma. And it just goes to show competition for places is not necessarily a bad thing for the person you're replacing. Emerson comes in, not necessarily a bad thing for Aaron Cresswell. And I'm loving the competition for place at centre-back as well now. Ogbonna, he's not ready to start first team Premier League games yet, but it's still competition for places. I love the fact that that Kayra's come in at the same time that Dawson is starting to come back to fitness as well. You know, it gives a little bit of breathing space with the whole Kurt Zouma situation, but also when they're all fit and they're all firing and they're all ready, and then Agerd comes back, that's who's going to be the first choice defensive partnership. It's going to be really, really interesting to find that out. And it appears now we're getting to the point. There's still a little bit of work to be done, as I mentioned in the video this morning. There's still a little bit of work to be done, but we get to a point now where, you know, if we can get Emerson over the line, a couple more signings in as well, then we ain't got bad competition for places at all. And the squad, it's not just about the squad looking okay, it's about players that David Moyes will want to use. I think that's incredibly important. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. Get your Spitch Fantasy Football stuff ready. I haven't mentioned it today. I'll be putting my team up tomorrow. Going to win the big bucks. I'm going to beat Gio again. Actually, I've seen his team. He's done a good team. I don't know if you watched the Brighton preview. He's done a good team now. I will have to have my wits about me. That's for sure. I won't be including Darwin Núñez this week. I don't think that's fair to say. Anyway, I will catch up with you tomorrow because tomorrow is match day.